Man, what a goal would it be for us as Christians when we come to church and when we interact with people to either establish them in their faith or to encourage them in their faith. I don't know how many times that I have quit and given up and don't feel like trying anymore. Then I realize it's Saturday night and I got to preach Sunday morning. Like, man, it's tough. Waking up, saying you can't do it anymore and you don't want to try anymore. You lost courage. You don't want to carry forward. But then someone comes along and encourages me, puts courage in me, puts courage in me to serve another day or work another time or try it again. And that's a great reason to come to church, to be encouraged. To hear other believers say, come on, it can happen. Here's courage for you to make it through the week. Here's courage for you to make it. And by the way, when we come to church, we should try to do these two things. We should try to be encouragers and not discouragers. You could get torn down in the world plenty enough, right? When we come to church, we should encourage. Shouldn't be complaining and whining and tearing down others. And it's tough enough for everyone to get part of it, and you never know what people are going through when you talk to them. You never know. And sometimes it's hard because they may not be your personality. They may not look like you. They may not talk like you. But you never know what that person is going through. One of my favorite preachers is Junior Hill. Most of you probably don't know who he is. He's an evangelist from Hartsville, Alabama. He was just a simple country evangelist that kind of got on the big track of going to a lot of big churches. So he said he got to be where he was pretty big name, and he would go to churches, and a lot of people would come, and a lot of people walked the aisle, and he was going through his process. And he said one day he went to a church, and a fellow walked in and sit down on the back row, and he said he got into his little legalistic side, and he looked, and the man had a cowboy hat on. He said, surely that man's not going to keep that cowboy hat on during this service. Oh, Brian just took his hat off. Just tease it. He said, doesn't he know this is the house of the Lord? What is he doing with a cowboy hat on? And he said the whole service, all he could think about was that man's never going to take his cowboy hat off. He said he preached, he taught, he read God's word, he went through the whole thing, and man never took his cowboy hat off. He said, man, I don't know what that guy's problem is. I probably should go back there and ask him. Doesn't he know it's the right thing to do to take his hat off when he comes into church, especially when I read God's word? And he said he had a whole thing to tell him. He said, sure enough, right after the service, a guy came right to him. He said, oh boy, here's my chance. He said the man walked up to him. He said tears began to roll down his eyes. And he said, I just want to thank you for encouraging me, brother. He said, I hope my hat didn't offend you. Took his hat off, and he had scars from brain cancer. He said, I just had brain surgery, and I'm so embarrassed to go anywhere, so I kept my hat on so I wouldn't scare people or the kids. I hope that wasn't a distraction to you. Wow. You want to talk about being humbled or eating your words? Some people, you don't know the scars they carry. You don't know the burdens they have. That's why when you come to church and into the Lord, you should be an encourager. We should encourage people who don't look like us or don't talk like us or don't around. We should be an encourager and help establish and encourage people even when they may not do or look like or act like us. We should be encouragers.